world in different ways is becoming more and more difficult to live in. You're well aware of the environmental challenges that the earth is facing. And I think Jainism and Buddhism, philosophies like these, have a responsibility to lead the rest of the world towards saving this planet, taking care of nature and the living beings on it. A lot of emphasis we give in our philosophies on ahimsa or non-violence. I think this itself should be enough to make this planet environmentally very healthy in today's challenging times. But for that to happen, but for us to lead the world, we may need to redefine our understanding of ahimsa and himsa, non-violence and violence, in tune with the 21st century. Today, my take is that we might be stuck in very outdated forms of himsa and ahimsa. It's great to be vegetarians. It's great to take care of a fly or a chicken or an animal or an insect. But it is important equally to get to see the bigger picture also. In my culture, in Ladakh, a fellow Buddhist can go to any extent to rescue a fly from drowning in the teacup. They're guided by this philosophy of not letting any being die, and therefore they do anything to rescue that fly. But that dying and killing was a form of violence or ahimsa practice, very relevant long ago. Today's himsa or violence is committed in totally different ways and different scales than killing a goat to eat or a chicken to eat or a fly that falls in the cup. Very important, I'll stress again, to be kind to these animals and insects. But then the scale of violence that 21st century brings is not so much because of somebody killing with a knife or an arrow or a gun. These are very old-fashioned ways of violence, which were an issue long ago. And because of that, violence in society, that kind of simplistic violence of, killing somebody physically, our philosophies had this emphasis on non-violence, and sure enough, they had a very good impact. In few thousand years, violence of this kind has nearly gone away from our lives. Today, physical violence is hardly a cause of death in the world. I was looking at the causes of death on internet, and physical violence figured, at what number? Number 26th, very low down. Top three, first, second, third, were all environment related, lifestyle related. So 21st century violence has changed a lot. It is today more violent, perhaps, to drive a car, an SUV at that, than to kill an animal with a knife, which looks more violent. I may clarify a little more. You always hear of the amount of air pollution in cities like New Delhi or Chennai, which is killing people some 6 years before their lives, they say. Children left bedridden because of respiratory diseases. Elderly who die 6 years before their death comes, and we don't even see that as violence. It is directly outcome of our big cars, our lifestyle. When we buy many more than what we need, we may need 2 or 4 pairs of shirts or shoes, but when we buy 20 pairs of shoes, not only does it not give even satisfaction, because law of diminishing returns says that the 21st pair really doesn't give you the same satisfaction as the first pair may give to somebody who doesn't have a pair of shoes. But more than that, every time we take a pair of shoes from the shop front, a factory rolls to replace that and spews poison in the river, poison in the air, causes death of elderly, disease to children, and we fail to even see that as violence. When humans die of choked breath, we don't think we are being violent. We only think of violence as eating some meat or killing physically. Similarly, I have been shocked for a few years when I read this report by WWF, very well-respected organization. In 2014, I think it came with a report that said that between 1972 and 2012, 40 years, 52% of the world's wildlife has been washed away, wiped away. 52% of all the animals and insects and microbes are gone in 40 years, mainly because of our modern ways of living, our expansion of human civilization. Half the world's animal population is gone, and we don't even see that as violence. We don't even notice that half the wildlife is gone, even if we don't physically kill them by striking a knife at their throat. Our very lifestyle has become very violent. And the weapons of mass destruction are not guns we carry or knives and arrows. They are our sleek-looking car. They are the escalators and elevators that we take instead of taking few steps. To run these, there are nuclear power plants and thermal power plants belching smoke in the air, killing birds, bees, and humans, just to lift us few floors, which we could do physically ourselves and keep fit also, but we choose to press a button of violence, actually. Therefore, I really feel that today in this century, there's a need to redefine non-violence, ahimsa, redefine religion, redefine God. In other words, we need to have Jainism version 2.0 also, while we have all other, versions.